it comes down to whether you think a trans woman is a woman, and I don't. So, I think that biological sex trumps that.
World Athletics has announced it's banning transgender women from competing in the female category at international competitions. The governing body's president, Lord Coe, remember him, Seb Coe, said the best interests of the sport were behind the move. There is a bit of nuance to this in that if an athlete it has a blood testosterone level of below 2.5 nanomoles per litre. That's down from 5 originally, and it remains under that threshold for 2 years in order to compete internationally in any female category. They can then go ahead. That is not the case in something like swimming, and Sharon Davis has already spoken out and said that she hoped that World Athletics were not going to allow people, even with reduced blood testosterone levels, to compete trans women. So World Athletics has set out to stall, Sophia. What do you think?
I'm not a runner, but this is usually a debate I run a mile from. I mean, they've made a decision that they think is fair. And it's hard to sort of see how someone who has been through male puberty, doesn't have some unfair advantages. Sort of reading through their decision making. I'm a short, small woman. My friends who've gone through male puberty are taller, stronger, and have, physical advantages over me. And there's a point to be made that we're having this discussion about women's sport and not men's. We're not having this debate about men's sport. What I would also say is, I try and be really, really sensitive about this issue. It's very, very emotional. It's been a very, very difficult debate in sport for a little while now. And it would sound it seems to sound like what World Athletics are sort of saying, Lord Coe is sort of saying is, this isn't the end of the discussion. And it doesn't seem to be that, they're sort of saying we're shutting trans women out forever. I think he said,
he
we're
wants
not
to set up a
saying no
working
forever.
group. He's basically going to set up a working group for 12 months to further consider the issue. In swimming, for example, Emily, FINA, the governing body, aims to establish an open category at competitions for swimmers whose gender identity is different than their sex observed at birth, which again is one solution, but it also then begs the question. So in that open category, you're going to get people who were born men or male competing as female. You're going to get people born female competing as male, which surely is going to be wholly. I mean that to me doesn't really resolve the issue at all, apart from trying to put it to one side, put it in a special category.
I mean, I think it's good to have that option, but I think fundamentally, as Lord Coe, he's the president, Seb Coe, is it? He's a lord as well. He said that biology trumps identity when it comes to sport, and particularly international sports. And I think that has to be the case. So many women have campaigned on this issue. They've put forward their case passionately. Many former and current female athletes have said this is totally unfair. They need to protect the female category. And, I see this as a positive common sense move, standing up for female athletes, because I think this all came to the fore really when Leah Thomas won that swimming race in the US, and it just looked to the world totally ludicrous.
And this is sport kind of catching up with where we are in society, with hopefully being more open to transgender people, being more accepting, and having them more freely able to move within society, able to transition. This is a move on. This is how modern society, I guess, has to play catch up with that. But it does raise lots of questions, and of course several campaign bodies will say that these new rules are discriminatory. They come on the back of a debate over transgender inclusion in sport over in the US, because a male-born cyclist has won a prestigious women's amateur race. And there are lots of questions being asked there, similar to Leah Thomas and the swimming as well, Emily.
Because Stonewall have come out and said, we stand with trans people who now have the door closed on their chance to compete in athletic sports at an international level. But Stonewall are one of the most controversial organisations in the country. And I don't think that policy should be made according to, the most extreme groups and the loudest voices in that respect. So I do think this is a win for common sense.
I mean, perhaps if there's a choice, perhaps science has a way of lowering testosterone levels kindly and ably and sensibly to the point where there's no physical advantage through testosterone anyway to transgender women.
But Kate, competing. it comes down to whether you think a trans woman is a woman, and I don't. So I think that biological sex trumps that. So I guess it's whether you agree with it, self-identifying.
Yeah, it absolutely depends on your opinion.
And if you enjoyed that, you can listen to me, Kate Borsay, every evening, Monday to Thursday, 8 until 10 on the evening edition on Times Radio.